Hello, welcome back. This is Seewing Yee, and today I'm going to talk about a wild goose chase. Starter homes in this country is selling like hotcakes, and at the same time, is still a very challenging housing market. Before I begin this article written by Redfin several days ago, please, at the end of this video, please and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And so we go from there. All right. With that in mind, go ahead and here's the article that was published on July 28th, several days ago from today. And the headline is Redfin first time buyers need to earn 13% more than a year ago to afford the typical US starter home. And I'm talking about, we're not talking about the median price of a home in the US. The median price is around approximately $400,000. And that is absolutely mind boggling. I'm talking about starter homes, or homes that are lower than the median home prices in a particular market. And these types of homes are in high demand because more people can afford them due to budget problems like income qualification and whatever. But mostly the starter homes, or many of them, are purchased by cash, or they are purchased with high down payments by real estate investors, which happen to be myself and others that I guide through my several thousand investor database that I have. We are buying this low price starter homes for cash flow purposes in the most affordable areas in the country. That's what's happening. All right. So there's a lot of competition for the starter homes. So let me highlight certain things on this article about Redfin. Rising home prices and elevated mortgage rates, which is right now it's around 7%, still pretty high right now, have pushed the income necessary to buy the typical US starter homes up 13% over the past year. At the same time, the trend has continued for the past 15 weeks or so, the past entire 1 year over year. New listings of starter homes are down 23%, the biggest decline since the start of the pandemic. And San Francisco, Austin, and Phoenix are the only major US metros where the income needed to buy a starter home has dropped over the last year. However, prices have risen pretty dramatically, double digit to 20% in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Miami, which is more than anywhere else in the country. Just to reiterate, there's no such thing as a national real estate market as far as I'm concerned. Real estate is very hyper local. Every local market is drastically different than another local market as depicted on today's article. And I've known this for years, of course. Yeah, share, comment below, where are you watching this from? Are you, what location are you in? Are you in California? Or are you in Ohio? Or are you in Texas? Or are you in Arkansas? Tell me where you are and tell me what's going on in your market in terms of the starter homes. Are they being, or they are bidding more? Are there any kind of inventory available? What are the prices and how many offers? Let me know about your situation as well. Are you trying to buy a starter home somewhere in the US? And what are the challenges you are facing as well? And I'll be more than happy to answer some of your comments so I can give you some suggestions and advice, maybe to go over your specific situation. So again, feel free to comment below. Tell me what's going on in your particular market. So meanwhile, let me proceed accordingly. Further, the share of starter homes going to all cash buyers is near a decade high. No surprise, right? And so you have primary homeowners, you have risk investors from everywhere trying to buy these low price, affordable, entry level starter homes because they are the best product for creating wealth, especially those investors, because our investors put 25% down payment. We expect to have achieved a little bit of cash flow once we target for starter homes. How I define starter homes that are around anywhere from 100 to $300,000. The single family homes, those are my definition of starter homes, especially for investors when they want to buy in order for them to cash flow. So many areas of the country, you cannot cash flow anymore as an investor because the prices are much higher relative to the rent that investors are trying to collect. Right. So with that said, let's move forward with this. Ripson says higher mortgage rates and higher home prices in order to that scenarios, someone need at least $64,500 per year to afford a typical starter homes, which is up 30% from last year. What about the median price home of around $400,000? Do the math, right? If a starter home requires $64,000 per year in salary, and this typical starter home is 243,000. What about a median price of a home in the US right now is about 400,000? Just do the math. You need almost like $100,000 in annual salary to qualify with a mortgage loan with 5, 10, 50% down if you're a primary buyer to buy a median price of $400,000 home. That's why we have at least a 40-year low in home affordability. This is a nationwide crisis. The middle class are being priced out of the American dream due to these last few years of skyrocketing home prices and elevated mortgage rates. So that's what's happening. If you look at compared to the starter homes, which is today at around a mere 243,000, right? If you compare apple to apple comparison from this chart based like the past 10 years, starting from March 2002, as you can see from year to year for the past 20 years, the cost of a starter home has consistently increased year over year, and with a slight dip late last year, then picked up again this year in terms of our home price increases. So it is what it is, right? It's all about history. It's all about the housing market long term, not only startup homes, but median price of our homes also has increased consistently with some slight drip every now and then, which is happening in 2008 real estate crash, and as well as the slight correction that occurred second half of 2022, which has been made up by the rising home prices year to date this year. So go figure, right? That's how the trend goes, right? As time goes by, all homes increase, not just starter homes. So although this chart represents a mere starter homes, Redfin, this chart, there's study from this chart is based on their definition, how they put into 5 buckets in terms of dividing the analysis that they have done. So starter homes continue to tick up because there are so few homes for sale. In case you have not noticed, right now we are nationwide, we are at around 2.8% supply of inventory. And so therefore we are trending toward a record low supply of inventory. That is very disappointing. And even though the mortgage rate is elevated, there are still more buyer demand than there are available supply of inventory. So let's go back to the fundamentals, economics 101. When the demand are greater than supply, as in this case right now, home prices will continue to rise, which we have seen that as throughout this year. We have, according to Redfin, the home prices have risen almost 10%, double digit median home price increases year to date, 2023. All right. So just be a heads up on that. Let's continue. New listings of starter homes for sale have dropped 23% from a year earlier, year over year. And limited listings and still rising prices, exacerbated by high mortgage rates, have stifled sales activity. Sales of starter homes have dropped 17% year over year. No different with the median price of homes. For the past 4 months, new listings, active listings have decreased significantly for the past 1 year, and there's no end in sight. As long as the mortgage rate stays around close to 7%, we will continue to see this extreme lack of inventory of homes to buy. Okay. And so people who are already homeowners are sitting pretty because they have wealth, because they have benefited from the home values soaring over the past 2 years. The average US wages have risen 4.4% from a year ago and roughly 20% from before the pandemic. If you look at this data alone, that's pretty good. May not have kept up with the inflation, the elevated inflation that occurred last few years. In my estimation, the inflation has been double digit unofficially, according to my opinion, although the government CPI index is stating that inflation is about 6 or 7% right now. Anyway, again, government inflation CPI index is always more conservative than the reality of inflation, which I feel is a lot higher. So, having said that, income wages have risen, however, not nearly enough to make up for the jump in monthly mortgage payments, which is at a third record high. So, as a result, many prospective first-time home buyers are between a rock and a hard place. Or it's a song by the Rolling Stones a while back. Stuck people, the housing market is stuck between a rock and a hard place. Rock and a hard place, like Mick Jagger. Okay, I digress. Because rents, for those who are still renting, for whatever reason, the rents are remain elevated too. And the typical US asking rent is just $24 shy of $2,053 monthly peak that was hit last year in 2022. Okay, so buyers searching for higher price homes can lower their price range and perhaps search for smaller homes in less expensive neighborhoods. Again, consumers and home buyers, they need to adjust their expectation. They need to, as much as they want to have a higher price home to accommodate their family formation, if you will. Again, consumers have been adopting, buyers and sellers have been, buyers that is, have been adopting the past 4 months. We are coming back to a new normal, meaning most buyers are accepting, they are expecting this elevated mortgage rate between 6.5 to 7% for the past year, even moving forward. It's back to the new normal. So they have to adjust accordingly based on their budget, based on their income. They may not be able to afford the home price that they want. So they have to look elsewhere in the local area, or they may have to go out of state to go to cheaper areas. We all know the coastal areas of the U.S. they're very expensive. That's why you see a lot of migration of people going to affordable areas. The western region, people are moving from California and Pacific Northwest into the boomtown areas like Boise and Phoenix and Las Vegas and Austin. And people in the Northeast are migrating down south from Southeast to Texas and to Florida. So now even Texas and Florida, houses getting more expensive. So a lot of people are pivoting from Texas and Florida. They're going to even cheaper homes somewhere in the South, like Alabama or Georgia or somewhere else, with even lower affordability. Real estate buyers are adjusting to the changing dynamics of what's going on in the housing market the past years. And I believe we may see some migration trends pivoting from the so-called pandemic boom markets such as Boise and Phoenix and Las Vegas and Austin and Miami and other parts of Florida getting more expensive or people or pivoting, mi- migrating into even cheaper areas. So it remains to be seen. So I'm watching the following the trends in the market, and I will keep you posted for the foreseeable future. But having said that, San Francisco, where I've been living for the past 34 years, and I still live here, although all of my properties, rental properties, are out of state, very affordable areas in the south and southeast and in the Midwest. And my investors are doing following my recommendations as well. My investors buying low price areas. But having said that, San Francisco continue to be in order to buy a starter home. I'm not talking about the medium price home in San Francisco because medium price home in San Francisco is around 1.5 million. But to buy a starter home in San Francisco Bay Area, you need an income, an annual salary of $241,000. Now that is something that is shocking. But it's down by 4.5% because prices have gone down just a little bit year over year in the Bay Area. And but in Austin, look, Austin prices are skyrocketing. And now to buy a starter home in Austin, Texas, you need $92,000 of salary. So it's crazy, right? Phoenix, yeah, for a starter home, not a medium price home, you need $86,000 of salary. Those are the metros where prices of starter homes have declined. Also, starter homes in decline in San Francisco, in Austin, and Phoenix. And yet, the income qualified to buy a starter home was still pretty high. However, the starter home price was falling in the three metro areas as in Sweet Bay Area because of soaring mortgage rates, and in Austin and Phoenix also prices went wild because of the influx of remote workers into those areas the past 2 years. Not so much this year because some employers are asking their workers to go back to work in the office. So remain to be seen, but the remote work will continue to increase for the foreseeable future. New listings are scarce due to homeowners locked in by the low rates. As we discussed many times, because many of the mortgage holders currently, the majority of mortgage holders are paying below 5% mortgage rate. Good 25% of mortgage of homeowners, they have a mortgage rate of around 3% or less. And obviously, they're not going to upgrade to buy a new home, needing to pay 7% mortgage to upgrade their homes. So they are locked in, they're not selling. That's why we are seeing record low inventory supply because of the locked in effect. I'm sure you have heard that, right? So, yep, that's what's happening. All right. So, starter homes prices are down year over year in 13 other metros. They're mostly in the Western region, mainly in California, as you can see right here, and the Pacific Northwest, and a few other areas. So they've been down, but the other areas, startup home prices have gone up in many other parts of the country, especially in Florida, especially in the South Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, along the along the Gold Coast of Florida. Homes are continuing to skyrocket because a lot of people want to move to Florida for obvious reasons, and a lot of locals are leaving Florida because they cannot afford the rising rents and rising home prices. So a lot of people from out of state are just flocking to Florida and causing home prices to elevate in the last few years. Therefore, people need more income, like $58,000 to buy in Fort Lauderdale, to purchase a starter home, for that matter, $220,000. So even though starter homes prices have risen most in Florida, they are still less expensive than places like Austin or Phoenix, where home prices skyrocketed during the pandemic and have since come down just a little bit. All right. However, the starter homes are the most desirable, most competitive because a lot of people have cash. All cash buyers are purchasing nearly 40% of starter homes in the US. We're talking not only primary home buyers or buying starter homes in the US, but you have a lot of these investors. They understand the numbers game. Our investors are no different. This is what I do. This is my profession. I'm taking a lot of my risk investors into the starter homes, low affordable homes market in the South and Southeast and some in the Midwest, especially in Florida and Texas, where starter homes are $200,000, $300,000 in the suburban markets. And that's about half of those markets where our investors are buying those low starter homes for cash flow because the rent match with starter home prices. That's why you see 40% of homes are purchased with all cash. As you can see, cash purchases always has been important part of the real estate portfolio for a lot of people. There has been some decline in cash purchases in the past few years, but they are creeping back up, as you can see by the chart here. So more and more all cash buyers are buying the starter homes based on this chart. So real estate investors are buying up a sizable chunk of today's affordable homes. A record 41% of the investor purchases were small homes, those with 1,400 or fewer square foot in the first quarter of 2023. And that is up 37% from a year ago. So let me see. The highlight, what's going on, which this Redfin article indicates, prices are highest in California. That's pretty obvious, right? As you can see, prices are lowest in the West Belt, West area, Detroit, Indiana, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Missouri, Tennessee. These are the West Belt states, and the homes are very affordable, as depicted here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Prices are $100,000 for starter homes in Cleveland, Ohio. A starter home only costs $115,000. New listings decline most in pandemic migration hotspots. New listings has declined due to the lock-in effect, and among those cities are Sacramento. New listings have declined, wow, almost by half. Phoenix, 44%. Las Vegas declined by 42%. You know what this means? If the new listings are declined by substantially so much, this means those few cities I just mentioned, because new listings have declined so much, down the road, the remaining of this year and the beginning of next year, those cities that have the highest declines in new listings, as I mentioned, you know what this means? This means the level of the inventory, which is very low already, will be even lower. I say again, the record low inventory that we're seeing now will be even lower, especially in a market that's showing quadruple declines in new listings such as Sacramento, Phoenix, and Las Vegas. So it remains to be seen what's going to, I'm very curious for the next 6 months or more. What are the inventory level for those cities that have some drastic new listings of homes for sale? This is very troubling. Okay. So the economics 101, once again, even though the demand has came down quite significantly in the past year due to high mortgage rates, but the lower supply of inventories is even worse than the level of demand. So we are still seeing upward pressures on home prices and bidding wars and multiple offers that we have seen year to date this year in most markets in the country. Sales fell most on the West Coast, as I said earlier. Sales rose in Texas, in San Antonio, in Detroit, in Philadelphia, Dallas, and Fort Worth. Sales has increased just a little bit, not that much. You can get this income that are needed to buy a medium price home in the various markets, which is, as you can see, all those cities. So I don't need to go there. You can read about this Redfin article just came out a few days ago yourself. But the takeaway for me is the competition for homes, not just starter homes, medium price homes are still very competitive. People want to buy a house. People need to live somewhere. A lot of people on the sidelines because of lack of affordability, higher mortgage rate. But even when mortgage rate come down below 7%, even 6.5% mortgage rate, we can see more buyers coming out of the sideline. Home prices are still very competitive. They're very desirable even at this moment. And there's a lot of competition right now, but it'll be a lot more competition down the road when the mortgage rate decreases. And also, if as a primary homeowner, if you don't want to buy, if you can afford it, if you want to stay at your house long term, it's a good time to buy. And I'm not telling you as a realtor because I'm not a local realtor. I don't have any motivation to say this, but I'm merely a real estate investor, helping, guiding my investors. Anyway, so takeaway is things are continue to be very challenging in the housing market, and we still will continue to have a very low supply, historic record low supply of inventory everywhere, and the demand are still greater than supply. Therefore, home prices are the rest of this year will not increase at a double digit level that we have seen the first 6 months of this year, but it'll remain pretty much stabilized for the remainder of this year due to the seasonality of it, what have you. So anyway, if you see any kind of value whatsoever on my video, please smash the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please comment below what's going on in your market. Are you seeing starter homes being sold quickly, or every market is very different? Please comment below. I'll be more than happy to answer your comments and give you some hints, give you some suggestions and whatever. Okay. And also, other than subscribe to my YouTube channel, please visit my website below and drop your email into my newsletter sign up so you can receive weekly free real estate information going into your email inbox. Learn more how to become a real estate investor, how to buy rental properties, turnkey, cash flow markets in the best part of the country, the fastest growing part of the country, in the south and southeast mainly, so you can become a real estate investor yourself. Okay, thank you so much. This is Seewing Yee. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Have a nice day. Bye bye.